next time the two are together?
Absolutely.
A couple of pictures would be
Yeah.
great, or
Yeah, I've got the nice.
Are we on, David?
Is it the cards?
Good evening. Glad to have everybody here. And it's a great honor for me to welcome Rabbi Hershey Minkovitz from Chabad of North Fulton to lead us in our invocation. And we appreciate you being here tonight. Rabbi Hershey.
Thank you. Thank you. An honor to be here and to be back. Good evening. We gather here today at an interesting time in the history of our country. It's a moment when the nation finds itself hopeful once again, full of optimism about better times coming. A moment where we can finally start to breathe a little easier, knowing that the light at the end of the tunnel is finally in sight. After more than a year of a pandemic that brought the world to its knees, that sadly took so many lives, a year in which there isn't a family that hasn't been affected in one way or another by the crisis that is COVID-19. Loved ones gone, jobs lost, social connections decimated. Life has simply been brutal for so many people. And now, with the ever-expanding availability of the vaccines and a virus that seems to be weakening in force, we're able to be cautiously optimistic that the worst of it is behind us, and that indeed the light that comes after this is one which shines brighter than any light we knew before. So let us pray. O Father in heaven, thank you for your continuing presence in our lives. Thank you for giving us the strength and fortitude to navigate what we have all just been through. And we ask, let it be your will that the light that we can now see at the end of the tunnel indeed be a light of redemption, a light of restoration, and a light of renewal. A light that brings healing to all the broken hearts who have lost loved ones. A light that brings new opportunity to those that have lost so much during this past year. A light that gives us all a new perspective on life and purpose. A light that helps us internalize the lessons that we have learned this past year on what are the important things in life where we should be spending our primary focus and energy. Bless this council as they dedicate their time to focus on helping create and sustain a city where people can live happy and healthy lives, that their decisions be guided by this new light that we are hoping to usher into our lives, and that the council members, together with the citizens of Milton, be blessed with only goodness, happiness, and quality, meaningful lives. Amen. And it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Hershey. Okay, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Milton City Council for Monday, March 15th, 2021 to order. The city strongly recommends that you review tonight's agenda carefully, and if you wish to speak on any item on the agenda, then please bring your comment card to the city clerk as soon as possible. While Milton rules allow speakers to turn in their comment card up until the clerk calls the agenda item. Once the agenda item is called, no more comment cards will be accepted. Will the city clerk please call roll and make general announcements?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be happy to call roll for the March 15th, 2021 regular meeting. I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. Those attending the meeting who would like to make a public comment, you are required to complete a public comment card prior to speaking on the item. Your comment card must be presented to the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. All speakers, please identify yourself by name, address, and organization before beginning your comment. If you are representing an organization, an affidavit is required stating you have the authority to speak on behalf of that organization. Please review tonight's agenda, and if you would like to make a comment, please bring your comment card to me now. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outburst, or dialogue with any person speaking. Anyone in violation will be asked to leave. As I call roll this evening, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Joe Lockwood.
Here.
Councilmember Paul Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Peyton Jamison.
Here.
Councilmember Laura Bentley.
Here.
Councilmember Carol Kirkley.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Longoria.
Here.
And for the record, Councilmember Rick Morg is absent. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible. And again, good evening tonight. I also want to give a special thanks to Michelle Kennedy here with Barry Dunn, who is here tonight when we to be here for our strategic plan when we go over that item. But thank you for being here with us tonight. And I'll ask the city clerk to sound the next item.
And that item is approval of meeting agenda item number 21065.
Okay, I'd like to add an executive session to discuss land acquisition, potential litigation, and personnel to our agenda. Is there anything else anybody wants to add? Okay, I'll open up for a motion on the agenda.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the meeting agenda number 21-065 with the addition of an executive session.
Second.
All right, I have a motion in favor for, as read, from Councilmember Cookley, second from Councilmember Moore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, do we have any public comment tonight?
We do
General
not, Mayor.
public comment. Okay. I'll move on to the consent agenda. Tammy, if you'll please sound that item, those items.
First item is approval of the financial statements and investment report for the period ending January 2021, agenda item number 21066. Our next item is approval of an agreement between the City of Milton and Municode Corporation, known as Municode, for meeting and agenda management services, agenda item number 21067. Our third item, approval of the subdivision plat and revisions. The name of the development is Georgia Choice Properties, Mayor Boudier, land lot 475 and 534, District 2, Section 2, the frontage on Thompson Road and Hopewell Road. It is a minor plat to be subdivided into two tracts with a total of 23.204 acres, and the density is 0.8086 lots per acre. It's agenda item number 21068. Our next item, approval of a construction services agreement with Allied Paving Contractors, Inc. for the fiscal year 21 citywide asphalt resurfacing project, agenda item number 21069. Our fifth item is approval of a safety policy to comply with local government risk management services, known as LGRMS grant requirements, agenda item number 21070. Our next item, approval of a construction services agreement with Southern Environmental Services, Inc. for existing building demolition at Fire Station number 42. Agenda item number 21071. Next, we have an approval of a construction services agreement with Atlanta Petroleum Equipment Company, Inc. for removal of the Fuel Master Equipment and Vita Root Probe for the fuel tank at Fire Station number 42. Agenda item number 21072. Our eighth item, approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and KCI Technologies, Inc. for T-Splosh Batch 3 design services. Agenda item number 21073. Our next item, approval of a Parks and Recreation Department Athletic Association facility use agreement between the City of Milton and Milton Mustangs Swim Team to provide youth swim programming and clinics. Agenda item number 21074. The 10th item, approval of a task order with Pond and Company, Inc. to provide preliminary engineering for Big Creek Greenway Connection Trail Project PI 0015078. Agenda item number 21075. Next, we have an approval of a Parks and Recreation Department Athletic Association facility use agreement between the City of Milton and Hopewell Youth Association to provide youth baseball programming. Agenda item number 21076. Our final consent agenda item is approval of a professional services agreement with Universal Engineering Services for asbestos survey for the city-owned house located at 13760 Hopewell Road. Agenda item number 21077.
Okay, I'll open up for a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent items as read.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Longoria with a second from Councilmember Bentley. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. So we don't have any items under reports and presentations, so we'll move on to our first presentation. So, Tammy, if you'd please read the first presentation item.
Yes, Mayor. That first presentation item is consideration of an ordinance of the City of Milton, Georgia to amend Chapter 2, Section 2-54 of the Code of the City of Milton, Georgia, to clarify the council meeting agenda setting process. Agenda item number 21078. Our second and final item under the first presentation is consideration of zoning text amendment RZ 21-03, Section 64-1609, swimming pool private as it relates to location of swimming pools on flag lots. Agenda item number 21079.
Okay, do I have a motion on the first presentation items?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the first presentation items as read.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Bentley with a second from Councilmember Jamison on the first presentation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. There's no items under our public hearing or zoning agenda or unfinished business, so Tammy, if you'll please sound the next new business item.
That first item is consideration of the City of Milton's Strategic Plan 2021 to 2025. Agenda item number 21080. Mr. Stephen Krokoff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Momentarily, I am going to introduce you to Michelle Kennedy, our consultant with Barry Dunn. But before I do that, I'd like to briefly describe the process that got us here today. More than a year ago, before any of us really knew what COVID was, your leadership team began the preliminary stages of seeking the guidance and support we'd need to create a strategic plan of this magnitude for the City of Milton. We knew that to create such a plan that would resonate with our staff, our elected officials, and appointed officials, and most importantly, our citizens, we would need to be very deliberate in our approach. First, we were insistent that this plan build upon the plans that came before it. Our 2016 update to our comprehensive plan, a citizen-centric process designed to capture the vision of our city, became our foundation. Our other important plans, including our comprehensive transportation plan, our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and several other plans became the support. Then, the extensive community outreach, in spite of the limitations that COVID presented, provided our framework. From that, this body identified our 5-year vision, our mission, core values, and strategic objectives that it felt would best lead us toward achieving that vision. Next, you gave your staff experts the opportunity to identify goals, objectives, and outcome measures that would guide us on our journey to achieving your vision. That was no simple task, but it was one of the most exhilarating and rewarding experiences of our professional careers as we collaboratively worked to add actionable strategy. I'm very proud of what is being presented to you today, and the entire Team Milton thanks you for allowing us to engage in this process. I am now going to turn the lectern over to Michelle Kennedy. As you know, Michelle has been our partner in this project. I've worked with many consultants over my years, and I must say that Michelle is the epitome of what we should expect in a partner. She was a leader, a mentor, an expert, a coordinator, a taskmaster, and many other important roles. But most importantly, she was a friend of Milton, as she took the time to understand our city, truly understand it, which was a significant factor in what makes this plan so great. With that, I'll bring up Michelle. Thanks.
Whoops, what a warm introduction. What button do I need to hit to make the slide presentation? He's going to. Mayor Locke, it's so great to see you all again, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to be here this evening to present to you for your consideration the draft of the strategic plan that we've been working on since September. My plan for my presentation is to keep it brief. I don't intend to go through the plan page by page, although I can answer any specific questions if you have them. But instead, what I'd like to do is to give you some highlights of the process. I'd like to take you through sort of the structure of the plan and what's there, and really, in particular, highlight the things that are a little bit different from this plan, from the previous plan. So that's going to be the structure of my presentation. And so to just highlight that, I'm going to give a couple of quick highlights about the process itself. I want to talk for a little bit about stakeholder engagement, because we did a pretty specific effort this time out to make that broader. Thank you. Also, I'm going to walk through the pieces that you were heavily involved in and providing strategic guidance for the rest of the city. Talk a little bit more deeply about what the city departments did to finalize this plan for you, and then talk about the resulting document itself and what it represents to the city. So real quickly through the process, it took from spring until about fall to get everything in place to begin this process. So we really began it in earnest in late September with a stakeholder engagement process that we engaged as much of the community as we possibly could, and I'm going to describe that in more detail. By January, we were in your work session to work on the vision and to identify the strategic priorities that would go into the plan, and then we spent the rest of January and February working to flesh out the plan, which you are now considering this evening. And so in a few short months, we were able to get to the finish line. One of the things that our company asks strategic planning clients at the very beginning of the process is, what do you want to get out of this planning process? And what do you want to be different this time around than the previous time around? And so we get expectations right up front. And we heard a couple of expectations, and one expectation that was set very clearly by your city manager was, we want to try to engage more people in this process. Strategic planning can be really dry and boring, and we wanted to make it something that would engage the public a little bit more. So we took some extra steps to reach out extensively and engage each part of the city of Milton, each interest, each population, and what's represented on this slide are all the different groups we were able to get to through our stakeholder engagement process. And that engagement ranged from one-on-one interviews, which we did with all of you as council members at the very beginning of the process to set the stage, to some group interviews. We did a survey of the city's employees. We used social media, and we used a community engagement platform that I'm going to talk about in just a little bit more detail in a moment. So there was effort made to engage people. One of the things that was just fascinating to me as I interviewed people, we got thank yous and expressions of appreciation for being invited to participate in the process. So that is not something that we always experience as consultants, so that's something I wanted to call out and highlight, that your members of the community were really excited to be able to participate in that way. So we also, so this is where I'd like to point out the extra effort that we took in the middle of the pandemic. What we would normally do is we would normally have town halls and community forums in person where people can gather and they can get together in groups and talk to each other. Well, we wanted to be able to replicate that. So we used a social engagement platform called Social Pinpoint, and we created a site that is unique to Milton. And you can see some examples of it up on the screen. We offered a number of different ways for people to give input on this site. They could share ideas in 6 categories that we gave them: residential growth, business development, preserving Milton's character, parks and rec, building connections, and effective government. And those bubbles that you see there, the green, the black, the bluish purple, and the red, are actual comments and ideas that residents of Milton wanted to bring forward and put on that idea wall. And then we had a survey which about 175 Milton residents contributed to, and so that gave us another bit of input. And then we had a part on the site where you could write a narrative about what you wanted for Milton's future. So we had that piece as well. And when all was said and done, there were 2,000 visits to that site. There were 670 people that actually did something on the site. And there were 175 survey responses and 32 ideas. So that was all input that we were able to bring to you when you had your council work session. The other thing I'd like to mention that we did was our firm looked at over 20 plans, documents, reports, studies to help take all of this input and build it into an environmental scan, which we used at the front end of your work session to get you all on the same page and level of understanding of the current state of Milton and what the opportunities are for the future. So in your council session, we focused very strongly on the vision, and we also focused on the values. And you might recall I asked you all to do an exercise where you would actually talk about what do we expect from our city government in terms of the way we want our employees to carry out the city's business and the kinds of behaviors we want to see from them. And so we spent a lot of time talking about the values, the city's values, and you put a lot of thought into that. And what you see there in the bolded statements were your ideas, and that what you see in the description after the bolded statements is how the city departments took those values and really embraced them and went to much deeper level of description to try to call out and identify what are the behaviors that people need to display to demonstrate those bolded statements that you as a council came up with. And so I said I would point out the things that were different and enhanced in this plan, and that was one of them. And it was one of the things that I think was a really meaningful piece. And I want to underscore this because when employees have it described to them in that detail, it allows them to live those values on a day-to-day basis. So that was a really, in my view, a significant improvement that you made in your plan. This next slide shows the 3 strategic priorities that you all set as a council, and you went through a process of really deeply considering where do we want to go in the future and what's important to us and to our community. And so you came up with these 3 strategic priorities, and one of the things that I asked the departments to do after you identified that strategic direction, I said for each of those 3 strategic priorities, let's define the current state, but let's also define the future state. So it's really clear. So when I see that strategic priority of ensure Milton's sustainability and resiliency, those words actually mean something, and we can say what it looks like when we've achieved that strategic priority. So that's another new thing to this version of your strategic plan, was the description of the current state and future state that you're headed towards. So that's a new piece. And so then we get into the goals, objectives, and outcome measures, which Steve mentioned. This is where the departments really rolled up their sleeves. And I have to commend the departments for the work that they did on these. We set them up into cross-functional teams, and they spent a lot of time thinking about these, thinking about those 3 strategic priorities that you as a council set, and trying to identify some very tangible short-term objectives that would lead the city towards those strategic priorities and the completion of those. And what you can see here as an example is this is just one page out of the plan, but it's related to strategic priority 3, which is acquire, manage, and develop public land and resources to support Milton's high quality of life. So these are 2 of the goals and sets of objectives and outcome measures that are part of that strategic priority. The one thing that makes this plan actionable is those short-term objectives that they came up with. That isn't new to your plan, but I think these are really crisp. And the next thing that is new to this plan is the definition of some outcome measures. And I want to differentiate these for you from just performance metrics. Outcome measures are trying to measure the actual impact that this is having on the community. And so a lot of thought was put into how are we going to measure so that we can hold ourselves accountable, so that the city council can hold us accountable, and so that the public can hold us accountable for this plan and making progress on it. And so finally, I just like to underscore the importance of the plan. One of the things that was impressive about the city is that you didn't take this on as a check-the-box exercise. And I've seen other organizations do that. It was a meaningful process. This plan is a living document, and it has specifics in it because it's actionable and you can measure your progress on it. But it's a living document that you can continue to revisit through the life of the plan, which is a 5-year period from 2021 to 2025. One of the benefits of having a strategic plan is being able to know where you need to make investments to get the kind of future that you want to have. And so that you can make investments into the things that are truly your priorities. It serves as a decision-making tool for Steve and his staff. And it serves as a way of you being transparent to the public about what you're doing, and also showing the public and demonstrating to the public that you are acting on the things that are important to them. So, as a final comment, I just really want to thank the dedication and commitment of Steve and the Strategic Planning Steering Committee, which was made up of Sarah Ladart, Stacey English, Greg Botello, and Tammy Lowett, who put a lot of effort into this, getting this to the finish line. And then finally to say it was a privilege to work on this project with the city. And I'm so glad I was able to be here in person for my firm to present it to you this evening. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Steve, and he's going to say a few words about how the city's going to manage the plan going forward. And then if you have questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. So should you approve this plan, staff will immediately build upon the action plans that have already been identified and present them to this council for approval. Quarterly, we'll report on progress and make recommendations to this body for changes as some objectives are achieved or environmental conditions change. This will also be an opportunity for the community to weigh in, and you, our mayor and council, to make any changes that you'd like to see. For instance, our CPAC will be completing its work and will soon have a new short-term work plan, likely this fall. That's a great opportunity for the council to make any necessary changes to this plan. Long-term, the comprehensive planning process will precede the strategic planning process. I'd like to thank you all again for having the courage and providing support necessary to make our 2021 to 2025 strategic plan possible. Your staff eagerly awaits not only the opportunity to start executing this strategy, but to meet outcomes and exceed community expectations. Thank you again, and both Michelle and I are available for any questions that you may have.
Okay. I want to also thank everybody that was involved in part, obviously including our citizens and our stakeholders too. So is there any questions for either Steve or Michelle, or comments? Laura?
Thank you for such a great plan. It's nicely put together, and the pictures are great, and it's easy to read. Steve, just as we move into the actionable items, you'll report on those quarterly. Is that what? Is that the plan?
We will report on not only our progress on what's there quarterly, but we'll be adding to them quarterly. However, I envision there'll be times that we're not going to want to wait till the quarter to add something on. Let's say a new item that may help with our large lot incentives or things along those lines. I anticipate those will come on in between the quarters, but then we'll report on the quarters on our progress.
So similar to the, will the finished product of the strategic plan have the detail of those action plans, or, I mean, I'm just trying to equate it to the comp plan where we have work programs that the community can see what's out there and what we're planning to do to accommodate the plan.
100%. You'll be having a presentation. I think it's the next council meeting, either the first one or the second one in April, that Bernadette's going to be doing. It's going to allow us to be able to display in live time, in real time, what progress we're making our strategic plan, what's been completed, what's not, what's coming on, and everything as this plan goes through its life cycle.
Okay. Anybody else? Sure.
I'm extremely part of the process?
Just one quick thing to follow up on Laura, while I was thinking about it. Is there any way to, when we talk about going through this on a quarterly basis and changing it and showing kind of where we are in the process, is there any way to put that maybe online, showing the citizens where we are in the process of our?
I envisioned a written report that would be presented to the council quarterly. So I would anticipate, as long as it's okay with the mayor and council, that we would put those online.
I want to thank Steve and you and your staff. I just thought the process was incredible. This is the first strategic plan that I've been a part of, and I just thought the way it was transparent and engaging and so inclusive with the way we were asked to be a part of it. I really appreciate the way we went about it. I also wanted to thank Michelle. It was rather remarkable the way you embraced Milton and the things that are Milton. It's unusual, somebody coming out of the box the way you guys did, to have really captured the essence of Milton that is what we think unique. And maybe not so some other places in the country that we don't know, but it sure is to us. And you did just an amazing job of grasping who we are. And the end result, I think, is going to put us in a great place to go forward. So thank you.
You know, I'm going to add on that same path that Paul brought up. And I'm going to put a plug in for not city staff or us or our consultant, but our citizens and our stakeholders, because it was very interesting when as Michelle got started and was reaching out and contacting, again, citizens, stakeholders, and getting input, and she had never been to Milton, and we were talking on the phone, and she's like, I can't wait to get there. I just feel like this is a great place. I'm just sensing it. So anyways, I want to put a plug out to, to everybody in Milton and how fortunate we are to have such a great community. So, all right. Anything else? All right. Thank you. So with that, if there's no questions, I will open up for a motion on this item.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the strategic plan for 2021 through 2025, agenda item number 21-080.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion for approval from Councilmember Bentley and a second from Councilmember Jameson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous. All right, thank you again, Michelle, for being here tonight. All right, so Tammy, if you'll please sound the next new business item.
That next item is consideration of a final plat. The location is The Grove at Sweet Apple on Ebenezer Road, land lot 1073, District 2, Section 2. It is a final plat. It's a 9 single-family lots with a total of 9.71 acres, and the density is 0.93 lots per acre. Ms. Tracy Wilds. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm going to present to you for consideration the final plat at The Grove at Sweet Apple, which is located off of Ebenezer Road. The site plan for The Grove is a proposal for a rural subdivision of 9 one-acre lots with a private road. It's a total of 9.71 acres. It is a private road, a no curb and gutter road rural section. The development has installed a bioretention pond, which provides water quality for all 9 lots. And then the stormwater detention pond will be shared with the neighboring Sweet Apple development. The developer and the builder is Brightwater Homes, and they've done other developments nearby, one being Sweet Apple, the other the Conservancy at Sweet Apple, and then, of course, The Grove. So the great thing about that is that the final product for The Grove will be in line and in character with the adjacent properties nearby. And they've already sold or pre-sold 7 of the 9 lots. I've got some photos so that you can have a visual for the development. You see here that the entrance road, the private road, is rural. There are enhanced swales or ditches on either side of the road. That road terminates into a bio-retention pond at the back of the development, which will provide for the water quality. One thing to note is, while this subdivision is small, all of the tree save that they've maintained throughout the development. And the neighboring Sweet Apple development, the model home architecture is in the lower left-hand corner, so this will be an idea of the character, the architecture that the final product will be. Are there any questions?
Questions on this? No, there's no questions, and go ahead.
I'm done.
Good, okay, that's what I thought. If there's no questions, I'll open up for a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 21-081.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion for approval from Councilmember Bentley with a second from Councilmember Jameson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Tracy. Will the city clerk please sound the next new business item?
That next item is consideration of an application to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, known as FEMA, Assistance to Firefighters Grant, AFG, for the purchase of a cascade system and a turnout gear washer, extractor, and dryer. Agenda item number 21082, Chief Ben Musa.
The AFG grant is an annual grant that's put out by FEMA. It's to about a tune of $300 million, and we have an opportunity to apply for this grant. This will equip our Station 42 with a cascade system so we can fill our SCBA bottles, but also provide for an extractor to wash our turnout gear, and that's in line with, we have some right now, but if we equip that station, it will enable the firefighter at that station to be able to clean their turnout gear post-fire. And it's in line with our cancer prevention initiatives that we have in place. So I ask for your support and approval for the application.
Is there a match that
Yes.
we have to?
It's about $6,000 for the city as a match as required.
But it's still obviously a benefit for the city that we would have had to
Yes.
pay for more
Yes.
than that. So.
Yes, the project is about $60,000 and the city's share is 10%, about $6,000.
All right, thank you, sir. I'll open up for a motion.
Thank you.
Mayor, I move that we approve agenda item 21-082, the consideration of the application to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for the assistance to the firefighters grant for the purchase of a cascade system and a turnout gear, washer, extractor, and dryer.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I have a motion for approval from Councilmember Moore with a second from Councilmember Bentley. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, if our clerk would please call the next new business item.
Our fourth item is consideration of an amended emergency ordinance of the Mayor and Council of the City of Milton, Georgia, under Section 3.18 of the Charter of the City of Milton, Georgia, to provide for the operation of the City of Milton, Georgia during the public emergency known as the Novel Coronavirus Disease 2019 Global Pandemic, to become effective upon adoption by the Council to supersede the existing emergency ordinance and for other purposes. Agenda item number 21083, City Attorney Mr. Ken Gerard.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you. A lot of familiarity with this. So this is simply another iteration, the 30-day iteration of the emergency pandemic ordinance. Just something very utilitarian. It does become effective on April 8th. So just because of the timing of Milton meetings, trying to link them up with the gubernatorial declarations of emergency, we have it on tonight's agenda. But again, the other ordinance will go ahead and play out until April 8th, and this will kick back in for an additional 30 days. I think the language is exactly what you've seen before, except for some maybe modest changes that Ms. Ladart is going to go over with us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Like Ken was saying, because of spring break, we're bringing the April emergency order to Council a few weeks early. Last spring, when these were first implemented, we did a couple of emergency temporary measures to support Milton businesses during the pandemic, two of which we have recommended removing from this April renewal. One measure is allowing reasonable new temporary signs without having to go through the city's normal sign permitting process, and the other is to allow restaurants that currently hold an on-premise consumption license to also offer to-go beer and wine for customers without acquiring a retail package license. Recent revisions to Chapter 4, specifically Section 475, has made it possible for qualified restaurants to apply for that retail package license, and businesses that have made use of the measure to put up temporary signs without permits can apply for the proper permits through the Community Development Department. We sent an email out last week to all of the businesses notifying them that we were recommending this, and I received no feedback, positive or negative, from that email. And we are ready to send out a letter to all the restaurants tomorrow morning if this is passed as written tonight. And these notices will allow businesses that wish to continue with either of these two practices enough time to get the proper licenses and/or permits, as this doesn't go into effect until the second week of April. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Sarah on that, Paul?
Just a quick clarification, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. The email that will go out tomorrow to the businesses isn't going just to the restaurants, it's going to all the businesses, because I recognize there's the alcohol component of it, there's also the sign component of it.
So the email that went out last week went out to all of the emails that we have on file for the businesses. The letter, this snail mail letter going out tomorrow, is only going to the restaurants.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Sarah. Any questions for Ken? I'll open up for motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 21-083.
Okay, I have a motion for approval from Councilmember Jameson with a second from Councilmember Moore for approval of this item, the amended emergency ordinance. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. So if our city clerk will please sound the next new business item.
That item is consideration of the issuance of an alcohol beverage license to Convenience Food, Inc., DB, doing business as Exxon Food Mart, located at 13020 Morse Road, Suite C, Milton, Georgia, 3004. Agenda item number 21084. Finance Director, Ms. Bernadette Haverhill.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is a request for an alcohol beverage license for package retail sales and Sunday sales for Exxon Food Mart in the Deerfield District. They are currently undergoing a transition of the business agreement with the previous owner who had a license in the establishment. So this, if you should approve, it would be contingent upon that business agreement going through on April 1st. They are in compliance in every other way, and we recommend approval.
Any questions on this? Do we have any public comment on this?
We do not, Your Mayor.
Close the public hearing part on that and open up for a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve agenda item number 21-084.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Longoria and a second from Councilmember Bentley. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right. So, Tammy, if you'll please next new business item, so Bernadette can stay up here.
That final item is consideration of the issuance of an alcohol beverage license to Rehan Liquors, Inc., doing business as Milton Package Store, located at 13093 Highway 9, Suite 1010 in Milton. Agenda item number 21085. Ms. Bernadette Harville.
Good evening again. It's good to see new businesses coming into Milton. This will be a new establishment right there off of Highway in the Deerfield District in that Kohl's and Target shopping center. Again, for package retail sales and Sunday sales. The business is in compliance and staff recommends approval.
Okay. Any questions? This one, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Close the hearing portion and open up for a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 21-085.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Bentley with a second from Councilmember Moore and approval. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thanks, Bernadette.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to reports. Anything the council would like to report on? Okay, so we'll move on to staff reports, starting with community development. Tracy, do you have the timer?
Thanks, Bree. He's going to do great tonight.
Just kidding.
Mayor, council, and special thanks to Tracy, who puts these together for me. It's a lot of work, actually. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, so tonight, just some quick updates. We are going through all our active open consulting contracts to determine exactly which ones are still open, which ones are active and actually performing the work, and which ones are just sitting there, the expiration dates, the amounts, all of that. So very shortly, we should be able to come back and tell you which ones we have, how many we have, and what we are looking to do with each one of these. We have some open task order contracts that I'm not using and things like that. So if we need to, we'll look at it. CPAC is going very well, and thanks again to our CPAC members and council members who sit on CPAC. We did some community education sessions on transportation and smart technologies, and that was on March 11th, and that's going very well. The steering committee recently had some deep discussions about the Honor Mill Road form-based code, and we went through all the background on that so we could sit down and really discuss where we should go with Honor Mill Road, and looks more like it's going to be a future work item that we would put together a small area plan on and discuss it later and bring it back to council. It won't be really part of the CPAC other than just the recommendation to do this plan. It's it needs more attention and more time. Website, our section website is being updated. I got some folks working on that, and I think we're doing really good on that. We're really analyzing our webpage. City View, okay. The nice part about City View is that we've done everything we need to do from a staff perspective at this point, and it's back at City View, and they're doing their final configuration. We've done a download already of data from Community Core, so that's all day, and then we'll just at the very end we'll just do a final download. And the other thing is we're starting to do internal training of the program, which is pretty nice. Let's see what's happening. We have code enforcement. We do have a lot of stop work orders that are being issued. We're looking at that. I have some folks coming in. Every time we issue one, I actually call them in and say, let's sit down and have a meeting and find out why we're issuing these and what we can do to fix them. We have some on pools, a lot of pools and things like that, and they tend to be the same folks over and over. So I just want you to know that we are really working very diligently to make sure we have all this compliance and to really work with people and pull them in and say, listen, this is what we need to do. Let's try to fix it and work with them so that they better understand the process. The sign sweep we were looking to do after the COVID was over, but I know they're looking to do some minor changes with the side signs and things, so we'll look at that later. LDP and permit applications are extremely high volume. I think it's just spring. Everybody's working at post-COVID. People feel COVID's over. And I will tell you the market's very strong. The financial is extremely strong. Prices are still climbing faster than we can keep track of. People are coming in telling me everything is going up and price of construction is going up and everything is, the whole baseline's going up, so, which is a good thing, I guess, for Milton. It's doing well. Some of the projects we have, Providence Park, I just want you to know, we have the final drawings in for permitting, and we're reviewing those now. MCC Community Building, the final drawings are in too, and we're doing the final permitting and review. And Fire Station 42, the final drawings are in. We're doing a page turn tomorrow with the fire staff just to look at them, but they're in for permitting as well. The utility disconnects are complete. The fuel tank removal is complete. And the asbestos abatement is complete. And you saw some of those contracts on your consent agenda tonight. So just want you to know that they're all being tended to. So we really have three nice projects that are all really moving along. This one here, I just wanted to show you Fire Station 42. We, with the help of Ken's office, we approached the adjoining property owner so that the piece of property on the left is ours. The one on the right, somebody purchased. He was here tonight actually for some items on the agenda. He was sitting in the back. He left, but. I approached him because instead of bringing, the initial was to bring the septic all the way down to Bell Park. And then when he came in and said, listen, I purchased the property, I said, geez, would you consider giving us this little sliver, and you'll see it on the right here, little sliver of land on your property as an easement so we could put our septic right there and save a whole lot of money and time and maintenance, future maintenance, bringing it down to Bell. So he was interested in that, and he said, okay, send me everything. So Ken's office prepared all the easement, initial letter of intent and all, and he's reviewing it now, so hopefully that goes through. So I just want you to know we're really trying to save some money there. And this is also a potential landowner who really came in with 1 acre lots on this piece of property. And when we talked to him, we convinced him, he said, okay, and he's going back and reassessing and doing a 3 acre proposal for us. So it was a good overall meeting. I think he's going to go with 3 acres, and he's also potentially can give us the land for the septic. So it was like a double hit. And I think it will look really nice. He was very happy about our Fire Station 42 design. He thought it would be an asset to his lot. So that's another large lot development that we're working with. On the other side of town, Deerfield, we're looking at Fry's and Crescent, and I just want the council to know that we're really working with these applicants to join these two pieces of property together. It'd be 38 acres to combine them and to work together as one big, large development. And although tonight I don't specifically have anything to show you, we are working up the plans and proposals and some concept drawings to really work with them to see what we can get in there. From the CPAC meetings, things like, Milton Visitor Center. All the items that CPAC started coming out, an amphitheater was another big one, public amphitheater. So all of the things that CPAC was saying, geez, we'd love to see it in the Deerfield side of town. What I did was when we approached them, we said, well, listen, it is just part and parcel of what we've been extracting from CPAC. Would you be interested in putting it together? And they said, well, could you kind of show us how that would work? So I did. Went back and redrew it up for them and showed it to them. And they have it now. And they said, geez, they walked away pretty happy. It looked like they were going to go. So you never know. Maybe they come back. Maybe they say, no, the deal falls through financially. It could be something other than us. But this would be a real big one. And just so that you know, former City Hall, where it says former City Hall, they came in last week and sat down with me, and he didn't realize he was an out-of-town applicant, so he didn't realize that it was our former City Hall site. So he's telling me about the site and doing all this stuff, and I'm thinking, geez, we all know the site and the buildings. And I said to him, he just wants to redo all the landscaping, and when I told him what we were doing around the perimeter, he said, geez, maybe he'll go back and talk to Transwestern, who owns the property, and they're going to come in next week. I'm going to sit with them to see if we could do some enhanced development on that site. So that would give us Fry's Crescent, the Target Shopping Center, the 10 acres north of Deerfield Parkway on Highway 9, and then maybe potentially former City Hall, and then the property to the bottom where it says Crescent, just to the bottom of the page there, that it looks wooded there. We were trying to get Mr. Reddy to come in and do a hotel there. He's been interested in it, but he couldn't get access to the site. So now I approached Crescent, and they said that they'd be willing to give him access. So that whole thing just might come. It's almost like it all has to come together simultaneously, but I think I can get that to work. This one here is a daycare on Webb Road, and these are just pictures that they came in with initially, and we looked at it, and so I sort of wanted to show the council the process of what we do. And this one here, I just didn't like any of it. The front had no real grand stair, no entrance. It was just a big wall. So you can kind of see where people come in with initially, and here's a little view of the back. The back actually looks a little bit nicer than the front. But I wanted to just show you, this is how we go through and redline the proposals that come in. So we sit with the applicants and we redline the whole thing, and we give them all of this enhanced architecture on the building and really sit with them and say, look, let's study the window patterns, the roof massings, how people approach the building. So all of these items are being addressed. And I just kind of wanted to show the council the level of complexity of when they come in, how we go back with the applicant, tell them they need to raise the bar, they need to meet the Milton standard. Every little detail that's in that building is thought of, reviewed, and checked. And,
Hey, Bob,
and they were willing to do it.
What did they do when you gave them that?
No, they actually went back. The owner called me up and said, geez, you know, he said that he spoke to some of the other business owners, and the daycare that's on Cogburn, they told him that the day they opened, the line was literally like half a mile long, and that they've never had trouble. So he says, geez, when I got that feedback, he says, you know what, if you want it, I'll do it, because I want occupants in my building. I want to have that level of enrollment. And I said, well, once you finish this, you'll get it. But I just wanted to kind of show the council what we're doing as the process, because I always show you the renderings at the end. And all right, so this one here, I don't have too many. I'm only trying to do 2 projects per session here. So this one here, I just wanted to show you this 23 acres on Thompson Road. Applicant came in with 1 acre lots, and so he had 15 1-acre lots on 23 acres. So initially we all thought that was pretty good, right? 15. But I sat him down, we really went through it. We went through all of this stuff and said, look, you need to do large lot incentives. It's what the council wants, right? This is how we're going to do it. So I just want to show you how it looks. He said he would do it with large lots. So just a little before and after. There's your 3-acre minimum lots. He's got 7 3-acre lots. I kept the old one up in the corner to show you the difference. And you can really see the difference. So we cut that density down. And he was willing to do it. So I just want to give you the feedback, because I think our large lot incentives are working. We sort of have to show them how to do it. But once we do, I think we've put the tools in place. This council has put the tools in place, and it's working. They're all converting. They're looking for it, and voluntarily they're saying it's working. And the council did put the tools in place. I mean, it is cheaper. They don't have to do ponds, right, and roads, and all of these things that normally you would get hit on with a subdivision, but we're getting them. We're getting them in.
Excuse me, Bob, are they sort of doing a back of the envelope or napkin? Cost efficient?
Yeah, but when they come in, I sit them down and we go through that math. And I go, listen, this is what it's going to cost you for a pond. This is how much money you're going to end up spending on curb and gutter. This is what you're going to end up spending on street lights and all of these items. Very simple, right? We can put that math together for them. And then say, listen, not only is this cheaper to invest in, but it's more desirable for people to purchase. So this is another good thing, is people want these bigger lots. So if people didn't buy them, it wouldn't work. So actually, right now, I'm not seeing a big demand on, say, 5-acre lots, because, sometimes I try to get them to do 5s, but there's just no demand on 5s. I can't get the math to work, but the math is working on the 3, and everybody's going for it because they want to be able to sell them as quickly as they subdivide it. I just wanted to kind of get through that. Okay, and then Robin will do the next one. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to give you a heads up. What about us zoning people? Almost forgot me. But anyway, upcoming next week, Tuesday, I believe it's the 23rd, 7 p.m. here, as well as online. We have a couple items on our community zoning information meeting, and I'll go through the meetings for these 2 items, sets of items for public hearings. But the first one is a proposal for a rezoning from AG1 to CUP, 6 lots on approximately 9 acres. This is going to proposed of a family compound, if you want to say. They want to keep the existing house that is there right now, and then add 5 more lots. And this area of Freemanville is fairly hilly, and so instead of coming in after the fact asking for some variances, they propose to do a CUP where they have the property or the houses closer to the street. And as you can see here, there's a fair, we have the rural view shed that they'll be required to do. It's fairly vegetated already, but you can see there's really no houses near Freemanville at all. But anyway, we will see what happens. But again, that's a proposal. It's probably a first CUP we've had in years and years. So, yes.
Quick question. I know from our years at the Planning Commission, it would really help me whenever it does come to council to see what this would be at AG1, so I can just have
right, and that's part of the package that they
cool.
have. This is just kind of an overview. So yes, they're required per the CUP to show what would be on a normal AG1, showing their septic, et cetera. So anyway, the other one was pretty busy, and I thought this was
Robin, do you recall what our smallest CUP is? Lot size? I'm sorry. It's just something I'd be interested to know. At some
so
point.
the latest, we used to have what was called an NUP, which was a neighborhood unit plan, which was the smaller lots, really more that was around where there were sewered areas. So if we look at just AG1, non-sewered, septic, I mean, it's pretty typical to have an acre, but you still, so like Triple Crown is a CUP, parts of White Columns is a CUP, Kingsley up off of Freemanville is a CUP, so their minimum lot would be an acre, and typically those subdivisions did not go to the center of the road, if that's what you're thinking. They have a true right-of-way. They may be private roads, but they're true minimum 1 acre lots. I will say that an older subdivision is Atlanta National off of Providence. That was done in the 80s, so they have minimum 2 acre lot requirements for their CUP. So it just depends. And then again, Crooked Creek is your typical Fulton County CUP where you have different pods of size lots, but obviously that's all sewered, so those are the smaller lots. So yeah, and the latest one that y'all looked at was off of Batesville. It was after the recession, and Brightwater actually took over the property, and it again was fairly hilly, and they felt like to be able to get the right product on the lots, they needed to have the front setback, and that's what they did, and I think they were fairly successful at that. So anyway, it's depends on the circumstance whether to use it or not. So the next item is 3 use permits and various concurrent variances on 2 different requests. And so this is Painted Horse Winery that is coming. It'll be 3 different use permits, but I'm going to kind of put them all together. So it's not like you have to go through 3 different processes. But the first request will be for agricultural related activities on the subject site. So that would include the kid, I call it the kid item. So it's, the birthday parties, the day camps, everything that involves kids, that is going to be requested along with a couple of concurrent variances. This is, by the way, approximately 18 acres. And you can see here that part of the property will be taken up by the new roundabout at Bethany Bend and Hopewell. The second use permit that's going to be requested concurrently is going to be the rural event facility. So this would be your typical, like Little River Farms, a wedding venue. So that's what's covering that. And there's no concurrent variances with that. And then lastly, festivals or events indoor, outdoor, which is commensurate with having concerts outside. And again, this is a little bit of a square peg in a round hole, and so there's a fair amount of concurrent variances, just like there was with the other one at Matilda's. So those are the 3 use permits and their concurrent variances that are going to be requested. So again, this will come before you. I'll just go through the meetings. CZIM is next Tuesday. The following next meeting will be the Design Review Board. It's just a courtesy review. And let me just interject that the applicant is proposing a 12,000 square foot. So right here is a building for a proposed future winery and tasting area. So right here, there it is, right there. And then also just a covered area, open covered area up over here as well. So those are 2 new structures that they're proposing on the property. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Again, back to the meetings, Design Review Board, April 13th. The Planning Commission is April 28th. And if it doesn't get deferred, you will be hearing it on June 7th. So just want to let you know all about that. And that's all I have to say if you don't have any questions.
Questions for Robin? Okay. Thank you. And I also want to take a moment. I know it's already publicized, and I believe Steve said something in the last meeting, but want to also congratulate Bob on being the, instead of interim, but our community development director, so accepting that position. So congratulations and thank you on that. Police, Chief Austin.
Greetings, Mayor, members of council. Looking at our crime numbers, we're currently just a few incidents up from where we were last year in crimes against persons. However, we're 10% down on property crime and 9% down overall. Looking at our crash data, we are currently 31% down, and we are also down 42% in personal injury crashes. The big buzz in the police department right now is our CLIA assessment. You may have heard a little bit about this, but the police department is currently going through its recertification process with the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. This is an international law enforcement accrediting body, and although this is a voluntary process, it's very intense, and we will have assessors here virtually from across the country review our policies and our procedures to ensure that we are policing according to national best practices. So though we do have an annual compliance check each year, every 4 years an agency must show its policies and procedures meet the CLIA standards and supplement those policies with documentation known as proofs of compliance. Very time-intensive process. The accreditation process focuses on several key areas of law enforcement. They'll be looking at use of force, constitutional requirements, operations, personnel structure, training, organization and management, and traffic operations, among other areas. In addition to maintaining a separate state certification through the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police, our agency must be in compliance with 181 CLIA standards. In Georgia alone, there are only 43 agencies, including Milton, that are CLIA accredited. And across the state, there are over 628 law enforcement agencies, which equates to only 6.8 being CLIA certified. Likewise, only approximately 5% of law enforcement agencies across the United States are accredited through CLIA. So next Monday and Tuesday, we'll be hosting virtually 2 CLIA assessors to comb through our agency files and ensure that we are still meeting CLIA standards even after our annual compliance reviews. Normally, we would host two assessors in person, and they would be able to physically walk around our building and inspect our documents and interview city staff and citizens. However, this time around, our entire assessment process will be conducted over Zoom with interviews of many police personnel, city staff, and we'll have two public call-in sessions over the course of those 2 days. The call-in sessions are an opportunity for citizens, business owners, and visitors to share their opinions of our agency's practices and procedures as they relate to complying with accreditation. Our assessors have documented their findings. After that process, they compile a very detailed report that gets forwarded back to me, which I will share. The final report goes before the 21-member CALEA Commission for review at the next annual CALEA conference, which will be held in July of this year. The review committee recommends by motion the status of the agency's reaccreditation, which is valid for 4 years. So our last process was in Providence, Rhode Island back in 2017. So it's a big milestone for us to get our second accreditation. The process is going very well right now, so I'm confident that when I stand before you again, that we'll be well on our way to receiving this national accreditation again.
Any questions? I will say I'm on vacation next week in a different time zone, but I did schedule my interview at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock that time, so I'd make sure I'd be there for that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for all your guys do. All right, Sam, HR.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wanted to speak with you about some of our ongoing work in HR right now. Several things going on. The first thing, since it's right past the end of the year, we're able to look at our retention numbers from 2020. We had a retention rate of 87% for last year, which that equated to about 20 people separated from city government with us, which is a little higher than we normally see. A lot of that, though, is driven by sort of rapid turnover situations where we had about 6 employees who left us within 2 years of employment. Several of those were simply a bad career choice that people made and didn't make it through post or something like that happened to them. So that accounts for a lot of our turnover from last year. We're excited that we're able to start offering our employees a new benefit, a 529 plan. That's at no cost to the city. We're able to set that up for employees. And employees are able to take advantage of that throughout their career and fund their children's education. Right now, to date, since we just started this a couple of pay periods ago, we have 5 people who signed up. We do have a lot of interest in that plan. Our employee check-ins finished up for last year also since the last time we spoke. Again, this is our new performance management system that allows employees and supervisors really to facilitate a conversation about how they're doing and what their goals are and where the employees want to be and how their supervisors are working with them to get them there. Those universally have been well received. All the feedback we get have been very positive on this employee check-in system. And looking forward to our next batch that goes out, should be starting in April, in June for our next round of these. We're going to do them biannually. LeaderGov is another program that we started. It's employee training based. We've been several months with our leadership crew of about 46 employees, and we've studied things like emotional intelligence, strategic goals, change management, and our upcoming one is on organizational performance management and how to gauge that. We're really excited to say that starting in April, we're going to roll this out to the rest of our employees. And the first one of those will be on April 20th and then on April 26th for those folks. It's a separate program that focuses more on, for non-managers, with topics that include how your personality affects your work, servant leadership, time management, and being open to change. We're starting to crank back up our employee wellness. It was a little dormant last year due to COVID. But we've reconstituted our employee wellness committee. We're starting to build some lunch and learns for our employees. First one will take place later this month. Discussing fitness challenges, and we're also going to sign up and do angio screens again later this year, which was very well received back in 2019. Finally, HR is working on our internal wage survey. We've put together a team of employees from police and fire and admin who are looking at the data and helping develop recommendations to present to the city manager very soon, and discuss pay issues from various areas within our government. Any questions? Can I answer anything?
Any questions? All right.
Thank you very
Mayor.
much.
Also, I'd like to, there's a couple of bills going through the Senate that I would like to see if Stacy can do a brief update on those.
I'll be happy to, Mayor. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do it. So we've got two House bills that we're watching closely. One is House Bill 328, and this is concerning telecommunication fees. When a telecommunication company puts fiber in a right-of-way, there are two ways that they pay due compensation back to the city. One is based on a per mile rate, which is $5,000 per mile, roughly 95 cents per linear foot. Or if they have a retail customer, they pay 3% gross revenues of the gross revenues for that retail customer. So just to give you an example, we have Crown Castle, who has about 10 miles of fiber in our right-of-way. They were paying us around $50,000 a year in due compensation for use of our right-of-way. And they have one retail customer, and now they pay $288 a year because of that one retail customer. So just to give you an example of the two fee structures that our telecommunication companies can pay the city of Milton. This bill that is going forward in the Senate, it's in the Senate Regulated Industries Committee. This bill is proposing a very large rate reduction for the per mile rate. Like I said, it's 95 cents per mile. They're proposing putting it down to 5 cents per mile, which is roughly $264 a year. Crown Castle aside, they're already paying the 3% rate, so we don't have to worry about their fees that are reducing. But we do have two other companies that the city of Milton has in our right-of-way. One is Unity Fiber, and the other one is Zayo Technologies. And with this rate reduction bill, we'll be losing about $57,000 to $60,000 a year in annual revenues. So we wanted to bring that to your attention. Senator Albers is actually an ex officio member of the regulated committee. So I wanted to just kind of put it out there that, if the council wanted to reach out to him, or if you wanted to do anything with that particular bill, I just wanted to bring that one into your attention because there is a potential revenue loss that we would experience as a city. The other bill is House Bill 302. And by the way, both of these bills were sponsored by Representative Martin Momtan, which is out of District 17. The second bill is dealing with the building permit fees. There are several ways that you can charge a permit fee or base the charges for permit fees. One is flat rate, one is hourly rate, and one is based on the valuation or the square footage of the building being built. They are trying to take away, which is what we use. We use the last one of those three. Most cities, if not all cities, in Georgia use that valuation. What they are effectively trying to do is do away with the valuation rate and either make cities charge the flat rate or the hourly rate. With the hourly rate, it would be an administrative nightmare if we did that because you'd have to basically be like an attorney. Track.
Anything wrong with that, Ken?
Yes, sir.
Anything wrong with that. But you'd have to track the hours and time spent on every single project. We don't have the software that does that. And I am trying to understand other fees that we can add into that. It looks like we can add administrative fees to that, but I don't see where we can add in cost for overhead, cost for utilities, hardware for computers, trucks. I don't see where that can be figured into the cost of providing the service. The purpose, I think, ultimately is to make cities accountable for charging the right fees for the service that is being provided, and to try to lower the fees. They feel that with cities charging the actual fee for the service that's being provided, that it would decrease the permit fees. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. We haven't gotten that far into the analysis of the bill about what it would actually end up costing. But I wanted to bring that to your attention because administratively, it is going to be a difficult one to try to manage. We probably have to look at new software for that, and just a whole new way of doing business. There would have to be a true up at the end because you had to do some sort of estimate in the beginning. So just wanted to bring your attention to that as well. Senator Albers is the chair of the Finance Committee, which is where this bill currently resides. Wanted to bring your attention to those two.
Any questions on that? Or
When is crossover day?
Crossover day happened last Monday.
Okay, so
it's crossed
These
over.
are, okay, these are.
So I spoke with Charlotte Davis and Ryan Bowerslocks. They are legislative advocates at GMA about these two bills. And they feel that House Bill 328, the one about the telecommunication fees, has a strong chance of passing through committee and then being presented to the Senate. We'll see how it goes. The committee is meeting tomorrow at 3:30, and that particular item is on the agenda to be discussed during committee tomorrow. The other one may have some legs on it as well, and that is truly the one that we are most concerned with. Obviously, losing around $60,000 per year in the telecommunication fees is a hit, but the permit fees, for building permit fees, it's going to be a struggle to administer. And so we're really concerned about that one. Not sure what the favorability of that one coming out of committee is. It could go either way. So I wanted to bring those two to your attention.
And I think to Stacy's earlier point on that, the City of Milton does a good job charging the correct fees.
Correct.
We're not trying to make any money, but not trying to lose any money, but to cover the cost. And I think that's the gist of that bill for other municipalities that might be a profit center or whatnot. But to your point, it's a way, we talked before, that we could prove to the public and the business community that, our structure is a fair structure. But, depending on what they do on the bill, though, it could affect us.
And we've been doing some work on that front, so we have no problem showing that, being transparent in that respect.
Okay. Anything else? All right, then I'll open up for a motion to move into executive session for land acquisition, personnel, or potential litigation as added in our agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. A motion from Councilmember Longoria, second from Councilmember Bentley to move into executive session. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
to reconvene.
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Move to dismiss.
Second.
In favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Joe making the first motion.
Your motion to dismiss, you're out of this court.
Joe, you're getting really good at that.
Yeah, well,
Who made the motion?
I didn't know that Kent was going to take all our time tonight.